Hello, welcome to my Boss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu, and I have Sunil in the background here. So this is market recap for the week ending September 27, 2024, and we are coming to the end of September. One more trading day left, and I believe the market is looking pretty strong going into the last day. I believe Nasdaq is up 2.3% for September. So it's, unless Monday has to be a really big down day to go negative. Otherwise, it has been a good September for the market, and we had a rally, from about 2.5 weeks ago. Roughly 10 sessions, and I can show you on my spreadsheet here. We have IBD signal, confirm uptrend. We went from up, like basically the market start to bounce on September 11, and we have roughly 13 sessions now moving up, and there's some distribution days along the way, like a couple here on Nasdaq and S&P. But this week we didn't see any distribution days, so that's a good sign, at least from the index level. And then on the stock level, when we take account of how many accumulated and distributed that we monitor, it's actually quite positive still versus the distribution. And then the number of groups are also higher than number of groups distributed. Based on the number of stocks in those groups. And then we have sector-wise, we have technology still acting strong, in fact closing at a high on Friday. Retail also same thing. Industrial also strengthening, closing on a high. Health is the only sector that has been kind of under distribution this week in general. And then we have commodities actually also did okay by Friday. And then we have financial, a little bit flat to, but then it also pick up a little bit by Friday. So that's the general tone of the current market. And so, overall it looks pretty healthy at the high level. But when we start to look at individual leaders and stocks, I start to see a little bit of crack. Whether it's a very short-term, temporary crack and it will bounce back, I don't know. So that's something we have to be more cautious now, just because we are going into October. Many things going to happen in October, especially the second half to the election day, to the beginning of November. So we have the election, and then we also have lots of earnings report coming out. And so far, the earnings report that has come out has been weaker, especially things that are more consumer facing. And Costco report yesterday. And let me just show this chart. Here's the Costco weekly chart. You can see the earnings are just one of the most consistent earnings growth. It's not a beta stock that moved a lot, but at the same time it has done really well since the this base right here. And you can see this run right here, and then form another base, and then we have another run here from another base. Now what happened and it's chased really tightly after this small base breakout. Now let's look at daily chart. So here we have this earnings news came out. It just barely meet guidance, their expectation, but the stock didn't react well. It did close in the middle range, so it's kind of in the no man's area right now between like the short-term moving average and the 50-day. So how it acts in the next few days will be very key. Generally, you want to see how it acts around the 10-day, which is the green line. So this is the slope right now of the downtrend line. If it can pass this downtrend line, then it might recover. If it doesn't, and it finds resistance around there, it could go lower, right? So that's something that to pay attention to. And because Costco has been doing so well, in the last year, like we really need to see it continue that. Because it can be a sign of of the economy. So let's continue to monitor this, and you know, we already saw some bad news from FedEx the week before. Again, you know, really bad job. But let's see what happened after, right? Obviously, because after such a bad job, it tried to rebound to the 10-day line, the green line, and look at how close it, you know, it tried to get to the 10-day line, but every time it just pulled back down to the lows here. Friday did the same thing again, pulled back down to the lows. Now we're getting very critical because the 10-day line is now getting close to it. Like, you know, either it's gonna plow through it and resume this this uptrend here, or it can continue this downtrend here. And it's a very steep slope, so we gotta see how it reacts there. So again, another stock to pay attention to how it reacts, because if it failed to come back above the 10-day, that's a really bad sign. So as we saw earlier on the spreadsheet, like you know, we didn't see any distribution day. This is the weekly chart of Nasdaq. It still looked healthy from that perspective. So we did, you know, kind of break this kind of like almost like a double bottom base here, and we come out. But we did have a down day yesterday, and you know, when you look at it from a bigger picture, like we you know, the previous high was near the 18,000 mark, and so we did break above it, you know, roughly one, you know, Thursday, and then we kind of closed, you know, slightly below the middle range, and then on Friday we kind of pulled back a little bit further. Again, it still looks healthy. It's still above the 18,000 mark, and the green line right here is still on the uptrend. So that's a very important line. At least for me, I usually look at that line quite at both stock and index level. However, for most people, the Nasdaq, they usually use the pink line, which is 21-day. So that one is even a little bit more lower. So it could go, if it does pull back, it could go as far back as that line. Now we don't want to see it break that line if it does pull back more, because then that would be the 50-day, it would be the next test generally. And Nasdaq has done well, right? You can see the relative strength right here. So it has done well. But let's go to S&P. S&P obviously is probably this, you know, pretty strong chart pattern, right? Broke out. Now we are 2 weeks into the rally above this breakout point. So again, on the weekly chart, looks pretty good. Goes to daily chart, trading really tight right here, which is also a good pattern because it just shows that the market, you know, we saw this one day down here that test the low, but then that's when we rebound, and that was the 18th, and then we saw this gap up. So again, that was the expectation breaker because we were expecting it to go down, but it didn't. Instead, a gap up. So now it's trading really tight on the uptrend. So nothing wrong with this chart. So it looks really good. Let's just go to equal weight and see whether it's similar. So here it goes. RSP is probably the strongest. The equal weight S&P. You can see it make new high on Friday again. And this stock, you know, this index has continued to keep making new highs, and we're seeing that. So this is very healthy. Again, RSP represent more stocks because they're equal weighted. So at least the all 500 stocks are being accounted for, and so far looks very healthy still. If I look at KWEB on the Nasdaq side, equal weight, this one doesn't look bad as well. It's actually look better than the Nasdaq itself. You can see on Friday it did close lower, but it's like barely and a little bit lower. And the goods, I think when you look at the volume side, that's really healthy too. Like not much people want to sell. So it's possible, most likely, like I said, based on the index level, it's telling me a story where it could go higher. So let's keep that in mind. And then we're gonna go to Dow Jones on the weekly chart, and this one again continue to make new highs, very strong. And again, we did have a close at the lower range, but again, that's not too bad of a thing because you tend to pull back. As long as ride this 10-day, that will be okay. And then we have Russell. Let me go to the actual index here. The pattern here is not as nice, right, compared to the other ones. So Russell, despite so many analysts saying, Russell, which is the, how do you say, the evaluation is lowest, right, in this group, but they just haven't moved as most have hoped, even with the inflation down, even with the Fed cutting rates. So this is still a big puzzle, and some analysts, like, are very straightforward about it, saying this is not going to happen. And again, I don't know why it's not happening, but eventually it will happen, like Tongmi said, but we don't know when it's going to happen. And maybe there's going to be a hiccup in the economy, and maybe you have to go through that and see how the small company earnings come out this next quarter. Maybe that's when it will start to rise once they see the numbers. But if it doesn't give those good numbers, maybe market will really, again, it will just get stuck again in this range. So maybe that's what it's waiting for. I don't know. But anyhow, we have to watch this. So this is Russell. We still, in general, it has broken this downtrend line, so that's good. Now we're at about 200. That will be a challenging point. And then, between 22 and 2200 will probably be where this is going to get stuck until some more obvious things that happen, maybe that show the economy is just so resilient and doesn't want to come down. But no one really knows that. Things could, we have the unemployment number on Friday. So that right now, the market pays so much attention to labor market now, especially now that Fed has cut rate, because that really signifies whether the economy is still strong and whether people can hold their jobs or not. So that's Russell, but I'm going to come back to Nasdaq just to point out one more thing. Let me see here. Yeah, I think I pointed this out already. 18,000 mark came out. Let's hope this is not a reversal, right? Like, sometimes, index or stocks, they can break out above a previous high level, but for 1 or 2 days, but then they fall, right? And when they fall, you have to be really cautious, because you don't know if that was a trap, and yeah, so that's the only thing I would be more cautious about. And then we will just talk more about leaders and stock leaders. We will talk some in this video, but make sure you follow my next video on the some of the top stock on my list, and we will look at some chart patterns, and it tells a different story, at least from what some of the stocks I'm seeing. It seems more like it's starting a downtrend, and usually when top growth stocks they start to fall, it really does change the mindset of the market. And sometimes the index could be a little bit delayed, like 2-3 days delay, but it will eventually catch up. As the growth leaders start to fall, the index will start to fall. And so yeah, make sure you watch the next video. But let me continue with this market recap for this week. So one of the big news on Tuesday, early this week, is that China announced a series of stimulus measures to prop up the economy that's been really slow to recover. So the KWEB soared 10% that day, and we saw like Alibaba and Tencent, they all kind of gap up quite a bit. And so yeah, let's take a quick look at that. And also spur some buying in some of the metals like Southern Copper and Freeport-McMoRan. So that was a big move this week. So here's the giant move on Wednesday right here. Tuesday it started over, like, and then Wednesday continued to hold. Thursday more news came out with more stimulus, and then continue on Friday. So it's been really strong move. On the internet sector, the tech sector. You can see how big of a range this is. Like, I don't even remember seeing that kind of range in just a few days, ever. So this is definitely a big game changer. Obviously, I'm not sure, like, a lot of investors probably tired of even stop trading Chinese stock because they just haven't done well. no one really knows if this is a real move or a beginning of a bull market for them, but it is possible. So let me look at another bigger index, FXI. This is a large cap. Again, look at how powerful this is. Like the breakout right here, the giant volume. So whenever you see huge volume breakout, that's, to me, is always a good thing. Of course, they could pull back because it's just so extended, but the general signs, when I see lots of volume, that just shows, you know, a lot of demand for the market in this case, and that could be a good sign. So yeah, so I would pay attention to this, and yes, the 10 days is like sloping so strong right now. So the key is to see how it pulls back. You can see this Wednesday pullback was an inner day of the previous day's range, and then Thursday gap out on more news, right? So it can drop really fast too, right? So you have to be careful on that, trying to chase an extended stock or index, right? So let's look at BABA, just because they're large cap. So BABA, look at this stock chart. Like, it's just insane how fast it's going up. It already made 28% from this buy point right here. So again, you know, there could be lots of short covering too. Like, I don't know, but you can tell the selling volume is much lower than the buying volume, as even before this week. So so those are signs of like exhaustion, where, you know, all the sellers are gone, so it can move really fast, especially on big news like that. And then we go to Tencent, and you can see this is the chart right here, and it just gaps up, and you know, because this is in the OTC market, so it's less volume, but again, it just, you know, it just signify how fast it can move. And there's many other, like probably the more well-known one, JD in China as well. You know, again, very similar chart to the large cap index, or even the internet web index. They broke out, and so that's a good thing, because now they broke out. So what to do, right? Like, I generally don't try to chase it if you miss the first day of breakout, and you let it kind of come back to the 10-day and see what it does. Like, is it gonna touch the 10-day? Is it gonna bounce? What is it gonna do around there? So obviously I wanted to see it hold and then bounce from there, right? So that's the idea here. But yeah, right now it's definitely too extended from the 10-day moving average. So yeah, anyhow, that's a big story that came out with a whole bunch of stimulus from the Chinese government. Let's jump back to the news in US. We did see consumer confidence came in much weaker than expected on Tuesday. What's the number here? 105. Yeah, it was 105.6, but now it's 98.7, below the 103. So yeah, it was much weaker than expected. And then Friday we have another big news with the PC inflation. So let me just jump to the IB newspaper here. And you can see inflation still continue favorable trend. So PC was 1.1% as well as core. So that's a pretty good number. And then we have the overall yearly number at 2.2% for PC inflation, and also the core is at 2.7%. So yeah, overall the trend is still going down, you know, holding this level. So this looks pretty good, at least on the inflation front. And I think small caps rally, right, on Friday. So, but overall it was down on the week still. So it hasn't performed again. It just, whereas, like, that's one of the problems I see in the market index, is they're not really all in sync right now. You know, on days that Nasdaq run, small caps will not run, which is kind of unusual. And on days that small caps run, like Friday, the Nasdaq drop, right? So it's really weird how the market is behaving right now. And Dow tend to follow the small cap, and S&P tend to follow the Nasdaq. So yeah. Now next week we have more news coming up from Fed Powell giving a speech maybe, at this conference annual meeting on Monday. So, and then obviously we have the huge unemployment report come out on Friday, and ADP report on Wednesday, and the job opening on Tuesday. So, and then we have earnings coming out from Carnival, Nike, Paychex, Levi, McCormick, AQD, Constellation Brands. So some consumer related stocks again. So we'll see. I think the consumer related stocks are very important going forward, because it really does show how consumers are behaving going forward, and that could impact the economy, since it's 70% driven by consumers. So yeah, let's pay attention to that. So from a market breadth perspective, again, this is from IBD newspaper. We're seeing on the S&P 500 New York Stock Exchange events decline daily line. We're seeing 1,501 stocks up on Friday versus 783 stocks down. So overall, the breadth is very healthy, almost 2-to-1 ratio, and you can see the advanced decline line is still near the highs here. Yeah, so it's still holding pretty healthy. Then we have Nasdaq advanced decline line. Again, you can see it slow moving up the last 2 days again, 2,077 versus 1,398 down. So it's still very healthy. Now we're going to look at the SMH sector now, the chip stocks, semiconductors. SMH end Friday down 1.9%. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, pulled back sharply on Friday. So that's a bearish sign. We'll look at that chart as well. So here's the chart for SMH, the daily chart. So here's the previous high right here. And on Thursday, we tried to come out above that, and we did. Unfortunately, the next day, Friday, we kind of pulled back. And so now, in a way, it's, test this high once. And the question is, what is it going to do next? We still have the trend line on the bottom, uptrend on the 10-day at this angle. And so we are getting close to it, and we've been holding that 10-day pretty good. So the goal is to hope that it won't break that. And then you have the 21-day kind of at this slope right now, trying to come back up as well. So you have another trend line there that could find support. Generally, a lot of people, like to use for the tech stocks anyway, they like to use the 21-day. So, but yeah, either way, 10, 21, they're not that far away. So again, we want to see a bounce right away to be able to press through this level here. Then we could have continued another uptrend, and that would go up to this level right here. So that's important to see. But if not, if we break these two lines right here, that could be a problem, because then we'll probably head back down to 200-day. We'll test this one, and then we did test this low level right here, so we pass, and then now we're gonna test this again, like 200-day, and so there's at least more support level. But who knows, right? Things could change drastically if, like I said, if earnings or something could impact it. So we'll see how this goes in the coming quarter. Earnings report. So that's at the index level. But like I said, TSM, I don't know if there's any news on this stock, and it fell really hard on Friday. So I do own this, and I had to trim it because of that. And this 10-day, this 10-day line, the green line, is still holding, but you can see it right here, and then we have 21-day right here, so that's another support level, and then we have the 50-day line down here. So yeah, I didn't expect Friday what happened, because that's a really big drop, 4.74%. It's probably the largest range in a long time, actually. Like, that's a big range, and so I don't like this because I mean, when they run really fast, and this one did, right? You can see it was already near the highs. You sometimes do expect it to come back to 10-day, and so we did, but it's just very fast. It came back to 10-day, and sometimes it will bounce right away. So like that's what I want to see now. Can it bounce right away? But this drop is so severe. like where are the buyers? You know, why did it drop so much so fast? And then you can see the volume is so high. So I don't like some of this behavior right now. So that's why, you know, I would be more cautious about this. So this is TSM. Let's jump to Nvidia. This is the super growth stock here. Now, one of the clear things that's happening here on this chart is like, and IBD, they did point out as well. Actually, thanks them to point this out, because I don't even know if I would have noticed it. It's the upper channel line right here. So on Thursday, we did come up a little bit above it, but we closed near the bottom range. And then on Friday, again, we fell, and it just broke the 2 previous days low. And now the only good thing here is volume was not that high. So that shows not too many people trying to exit all of a sudden. And also the other good thing, obviously, we're still in the uptrend based on the short-term moving average. We do have the red line here, 50-day moving average, which is not that far away. So are we going to test this 10-day? We already tested many times here. You can see right here, like, you know, 5-6 sessions. And then after that, it broke out. And, you know, but here's the problem. Here's the problem. The problem is that it never came close to this previous high. Like, it didn't even come close to it. So that's a big problem, meaning there's lots of resistance around this level. And so seeing how it dropped on Friday so fast, so easy, it scares me, because now, you know, we fell on trying to test the high here, but we did test the low like many times here. So that's the only good thing about this chart pattern right now, is that it was able to test it so much. So you would think it will survive this time as well. So we'll see. But if Nvidia starts to fall apart, I would take a big cue from this, that something's wrong with the market, especially after all these tests from a technical perspective. It has tested this area so much. If it fall below this level, like this tightness area, I can easily see it go back to 200-day and test that, you know. So there's something to be aware of. I feel like Friday, even though it was up day for some of the index, but Nasdaq was down, and it doesn't look too severe, but it just shows a lot of negative momentum based on Friday's trading. So I don't know if that's going to carry on into next week. We'll see. So that's just a negative thing. Okay, so we have our other stocks like ARM. Again, ARM tries to break out, but on Thursday, this chart doesn't look as bad just because it's more tighter. So, you know, but it still couldn't break out, right? So that's the key thing I want you to focus on, because the breaking out is very important, and being able to hold after it breaks out is even more important. So this is AMD, has done really well. Look, I think it outperformed those other chip stocks. And but even Friday, it break down below the previous day's gap up low, so that's not a good sign. So now we want to see if, you know, how it's going to test, you know, Wednesday's range here. So, which is a lot of room. If it does test it, then we want to see if it holds this 10-day and see how that goes. But AMD hasn't performed as well as other stocks, but all of a sudden lately it's been performing better, which is kind of weird. So again, I don't know if I trust AMD's move this time, but let's just see how it goes, right? And then so yeah, this stock, I mean, I haven't paid attention to it. Well, I did trade in right here, and then I got out. I don't remember which day I got out, but I did get out. And then, you know, which is good, because I tried and it fell. It didn't really move much. And then here's the big news right here. On Thursday, where I believe the DOJ is investigating them, and you know, we have seen short sellers publish report before about them, you know, accounting issues or something. I don't know the details of it, but you know, it was a bad day for them. Let me see, 12% drop, and then the next day it recovered 4%. So, you know, on the chart side, you can see, I mean, it's 4% is okay, but from a scale of 12%, it's not really much, like 30%, around 33% recovery, right? So usually, like I said, we'll see how it reacts in the next few days, whether it can come back above the 50% mark of the recovery. But obviously, it's now below 10 days, now below 21 day, and then you have this big red red line here, which is the 50-day. That's going to act as a strong resistance. And one of the things that IBD has taught me is that most institutions trade near the 50-day, finding support. So this is on the other side now, right? Because it's below it for a long time now. So this is like not really an institution type of quality anymore. So it's very hard for institution to get back in until it passes back that red line. So who knows how long this long-term trend is, right? So I did draw some long-term trend line here to see, when it will get above it, because that will give you some hope that maybe it could recover. So let's see. But again, it didn't. We saw Nvidia. I can't remember TSM, but they did reverse on Thursday. So I don't know how much of this is being impacted by that. But more importantly is Friday. Friday, a lot of them. Well, this one did go up, but a lot of them went down even further. So that's not good. So finish off this video. Make sure you guys watch the next one if you about the top stock list, because there's a lot to talk about there, and it's telling a different picture, I feel. So this is a software group. This is really tight. Like, you can go back in the chart history here. Like, when's the last time, this area, you see some tightness, right? Very similar. And then here as well. So I like the pattern. It's trading really tight. It's holding the green green line. You can see support here. And right now it doesn't, very close to it, but it didn't touch it. So, really healthy sign, but, we'll see. Like, I don't know. Like, in general, this is looking healthy, but let's look at some stocks, right? Like, one stock that I was owning was ServiceNow, and I definitely did not like the behavior this week. I don't even know if there was any news. I can't remember. But I just know it didn't act well this whole week, and this is really unusual. I expect it to pull back, but the pullback is so severe right now that I almost feel like, and you can see my red line right here. This is the downtrend line, and it looks very steep, and I did not expect this. I thought it was gonna hold and kind of go sideways as the 10-day comes up and at least bounce off it, right? But this is really negative, and so this is just one of the large caps in the software group, but and this has been a leader for a long time now. Every time it breaks out, it does move, and so this time it breaks out. It's moving, it's on the uptrend, but like I said, it's very close to a critical level where it will break the uptrend. So let's see what's going to happen next week, whether this will rebound. I expect institutions to come in, but it hasn't come in so far, which is, like I said, kind of weird. Let's look at Salesforce, because that's very comparable. So Salesforce looked like it did better. You can see it was up and closed at the top of the week. So this one definitely break out, very clearly from right here. So this looks a lot better. So again, I don't know if ServiceNow was still, maybe the noise about the investigation with I don't know who again, Security Exchange or DOJ about monopolizing or price fixing. Yeah, I think that was the news. So obviously there's some individual stock news that affect it. So it hasn't affected the whole group yet. So that's the good news. So let's jump back to the mega caps like Microsoft. So look at Microsoft. Like, why is it acting like this, right? The first look at this chart, it's on a downtrend. And this week it hasn't performed at all, which is kind of weird. So anyhow, that's Microsoft, and then let's look at Google. Google is starting to hold up a little bit better. We're still on the downtrend line. We haven't really take off from there. We did cross it, but again, it dropped back to near that trend line on Friday. So we'll have to watch this and see what happens. Let's go to Amazon. We have, I think, not this coming week, but the week after, we're going to have Amazon Prime Day. And I plan to buy some stuff, probably. But let's see how this reacts. Because, again, this stock is not acting well. It's on a downtrend as well. It already broke the 10-day. moving average. Let's go to Meta. So Meta, I view the Quest 3S this week. It looks pretty good at a lower price, and I have to say, my kids are still young. One's 8 years old. He's been always asking for this, so most likely we'll get him one this year just because the price has gone lower. So I think it's a good thing they did that, and they're going to capture a lot of market share, which is a good thing for their future growth prospect. And the stock did react pretty okay this week. It's holding up really high near the highs here. So let's see how it continues to perform going forward. Like, I like when you see the green line shooting up. Like this is where it converges right here, and then now the 10 is moving a lot faster. The 21 day is trying to move up, and then look at the 50 days trying to. I love charts that look like this because it just shows the power, the momentum of this chart. All right, we're gonna look at Apple as well, and can't remember if there's any news, but yeah. So this stock is still holding at the 10-day. Looks really good. It did pull back here last week on Friday, and then Thursday. I mean, that's Thursday, Friday. It came back down. So that wasn't looking good last week, but then this week it did go lower, and then but it did bounce back. So overall, it's almost a wash. It just basically closed with and open this week and this week. And then we have Tesla. Yeah, Tesla is definitely one of the better looking chart here, right? Like a nice cup pattern, and obviously they have the big event coming up. I think they call it the Robo-Taxi event on October 8th or something like that. And so a lot of anticipation going into this event, and the stock is moving in anticipation of that. So it could be sell the news event, because a lot of analysts say they just don't expect much from that event. But again, the hype there is creating momentum for this stock right now. So let's see. Like I said, I think I did say this last week or something. It's going to build up momentum to this high here, previous high, and then either it's going to go back down, or if something really good come out of it, maybe they could go beyond. And again, I don't know I'm not an analyst, like especially at this EV market, but some analysts say, hey, they don't think they can pull this off. Even if they did have the robot taxi, they don't think they can pull this off as quickly as, compared to the ones that already exist, like Waymo and stuff. So I don't know, but again, who knows, right? So let's see what happened at that event. I guess the one more stock I want to look at is Netflix. This stock, it tried to break out, but again, it's just holding tight. It hasn't moved much. Again, give back quite a bit again. Like, Tuesday looks pretty good, and then now it gives back again. So I don't know. Yeah, the mega cap's definitely not running like they used to, right? And I'm not saying this is the super mega cap, but I'm just saying overall picture. Like right now, Tesla is probably the exception right now that is running towards the previous high. But in general, they're just not moving as they used to. So, and hence that's why we saw the RSP, like equal weight S&P, just doing a lot better because more stocks are participating in this rally. So thank you for watching this video. If you like, please subscribe and comment anything you like, any stocks you wanted me to look at next time. And please watch my next video. We're going to go through the top list. As I mentioned earlier, we do see some discrepancies and directions of where some of the leading growth stocks are heading. Some of them are heading down, and I don't like seeing that because it usually foreshadow, even though the index hasn't gone down, but they usually do foreshadow something more negative might be coming. But anyhow, let's look at that and dissect that in the next video. Thank you.